what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong, what is up and what is down. What are these have in common? They call it antonyms, or they're opposites. It's like yin and yang, but they all come together, right? Up and down, left and right, right and wrong, this and that. But the truth is, there is no such thing as good or bad. There's only desirable and undesirable. Desirable in terms of human survival, and undesirable in terms of who gets left behind. We have all, the reason why we all evolved in the first place, human race, but all organisms evolved in the first place, was out of necessity. We needed to create new innovations in order to stand out from other humans, to compete, because it's all a competition at the end of the day. Not just between humans and humans, but humans and every other organism on the planet. Out of necessity, we had to build adaptations in order to survive. And so we built things like we built fires in order to cook food. We built technology like electricity in order to do things faster. All technology in the first place is to make our lives faster and our lives more easier. And yes, the population has increased a lot thanks to this technology, but it created much more competition as well. And so that means the standard for living is much higher now than it was back then. But my question is, what did I mean by desirable and undesirable? Like I said, it was on which traits we use to pass on to the next generation and whatnot. Now, I know you might be saying, oh, epigenetics exists. And if you don't know, epigenetics is where it's not genetic. There's these random mutations that we can't really control that might randomly turn on and off. And that might make our traits less desirable, if you will. But I would argue that is because we are not perfect organisms. We are not perfect humans. That's why we are constantly evolving to be better. We are effectively chasing perfection. Now the question is, how long will it take to get there, or will it get there at all? Because if we're on the understanding that we continuously evolve, then there's almost nothing that any organism, let alone humans, can't evolve to have. But why not good and bad? Why did I say that? It's because good and bad is subjective. It's a concept that people have gathered around and declared that something is so-called good and sometimes so-called bad. But that doesn't have any correlation with survival at all. It's highly subjective. And the problem is, a lot of people try to answer the question good or bad in terms of, like pimples are good, acne is good, or my appearance just in general looks good, the hairstyle, or the foods I'm eating, or any decision in general. We try to decide in terms of good and bad, but that's the wrong question to ask. The real question is it desirable or undesirable? Is it desirable to pass on your genes to the next generation, or is it undesirable and you'll be left out or cast out? because good or bad could change very quickly. Yes, desirable, undesirable can also change very quickly. But good and bad doesn't always mean good for survival and bad for survival. There's a difference, because desirable and undesirable is in terms of concrete evidence. The evidence of desirable versus undesirable is, did you pass your genes on or not? Then you're desirable, then you're not desirable. So these people that complain that, oh my goodness, I can't, the problems about I can't get married, or I can't, all these other problems. Yeah, if a lot of people tell you you're so-called bad, it might not mean that you're so-called bad. And then we also try to make explanation, try to ask, like, why do you want to, why you calling me bad, or why are you calling me, if you're calling it straight terms, undesirable? Well, that's the truth. Not the truth, but that's what they're implying, that you're undesirable based on certain features that you have, certain traits that you have. Most of it is honestly just up to pure random luck. And there's not much of it we can control. The thing is, nobody can accept that, obviously, since we are built to feel that we have control over our lives, right? So we have to label things as good or bad, or as another category, to make these people that are less desirable more inclusive, if you will. But my point is, we need to stop calling things good or bad. We need to start calling things desirable or undesirable. And desirable is, I mean, your body knows what is desirable, what is undesirable. Like, we naturally tend to be attracted to people that are similar to ourselves. I don't think that's a hot topic or a hot stance. We tend to like things that are familiar to us, or people with this personality, with that personality, right? There's these things in all of us that makes each of us different, and that's so beautiful too. Our bodies are all so different, even though we're 99% similar, according to genetics. But it's in our bodies that we are so different. And we are so powerful as well, because we can sense where we are in the world. Not that that really matters in life. At the end of the day, you don't really care about who you stand in the world as long as you're surviving or not. Right? But this feeling that we should have control over our lives might be a detriment. I'm just saying. Is that people now feel that they have control over things that are just up to random luck. And as unfortunate as that is, we are not perfect human beings, and we won't be perfect human beings in 100 years or 1,000 years, if we even get there. I mean, even things that are going on across the world, it's the ebbs and flows of evolution and the history of all living life in general. It has its ebbs and flows, its ups and downs. Every organism has it. I mean, every species has it. Like, for example, we have a species, there's a so-called species appropriate diet. Every animal in the world, every organism in the world has a species appropriate diet, but somehow humans, we've have a hard time debating on what the best diet is, which is crazy. Because if we look to the evidence on what we ate, it's just unprocessed food, natural foods. Now, the proportion of meat to plants, people are debating about that, but I mean, we were hunter-gatherers for a reason, right? I won't need to say any more about that, but like I said, there's desirable and undesirable. There's a desirable species appropriate diet and there's undesirable diet. And maybe there's a tactical reason why these companies are promoting processed foods, or they're adding preservatives or additives in their foods. I'm just saying. I think if you know my train of thought, you'll probably get to the same conclusion I have. Because it's a tactic. It's a way for them to compete in this world where it's always a competition. You always fend for yourselves. And so disregard good or bad. You work to survive and you work to pass your genes on and thrive. There's no good and there's no bad.